You know, being a professional wrestling fan for the last 3 decades, more specifically WWE, I can 100% without a shadow of a doubt proclaim that 2018 was the worst year for WWE ever. It was. The product was that tragic week to week, month to month, the entire year. It had its moments here and there, it had its segments. And that was it. Just a few moments, just a few segments that I'll even remember in the entire year. When you're a Sasha Banks fan, the year 2018 was even more insufferable, was even more tragic. As a Sasha Banks fan, I looked at 2018 and it could not be more criminal as to how she was booked. And the lack of creativity for somebody like Sasha Banks, who I've said a million times on this channel, is epic not just for her wrestling ability, which is amazing in its own right, top notch in its own right, but she has that it factor. She has that captivation from the moment her music hits and she walks through that curtain, she captivates. There's not a lot. If any other superstar right now, superstar, I use that term loosely, in the WWE and on that roster, Raw and SmackDown, that captivate you from the time they exit that curtain. Sasha Banks, not just for her wrestling ability, but her selling, her movements, her mannerisms, her emotions. Everything she does, there's not a single wasted movement. And in 2018, they threw her with Bayley for a futurized tag team titles for the women. They said, we've got nothing for you, Sasha. We'll throw you with Bayley now, and one day we'll get tag titles, and this will all be worth it. And as the weeks went on and the months went on and we started seeing just Sasha Banks versus the Riot Squad every single week, sometimes you'd get Nia and Tamina thrown in there with Sasha and Bayley. It didn't take a genius to realize that this was probably not the best way to go. That shit, if you were going to throw tag titles on Bayley and Sasha, you could have gotten them together in December of 2018 or February of this year. Worked together a few months, it would have been the same result. The only difference, we wouldn't have to have sat through 37 different Riot Squad versus Bayley and Sasha Banks matches. So it was a blunder. It was a mistake. And that was proven last night when they finally put a kibosh to that. Now, in the future, you're still going to get most likely Bayley and Sasha going for tag straps. But in the meantime, what we saw last night, if you are a Sasha Banks fan, and you sat through that entire year 2018, and you remained a Sasha Banks fan, because you believed in her, you got in front of this camera in these videos, and you showed her tough love, and you had some harsh things to fucking say, because you believed in her, and you know that what they were doing with her and booking her was totally wrong. Then for you, I say congratulations, you got your payoff last night. I, the Amplified Man, got my payoff last night by sitting through a tragic 2018 for Sasha Banks. We kicked off 2019 the way it should have been all along. This is like the Chicago Bulls back when Michael Jordan was around. That's like keeping Jordan on the bench even though he's healthy and willing and able to kick ass on that court in Game 7 of the finals. And you keep him on the bench. And your team's losing by 20 points the entire game, but you refuse to put in Michael Jordan. It's the same way for WWE. Every fucking week their ratings are in a steep decline. The women's division is in fucking flux. Aside from Ronda Rousey, you have no real intriguing kick-ass storyline. You have Sasha Banks ready to kick ass, ready to take the fucking weight off of that division's shoulders and create another interesting storyline. Doesn't have to be even for the championship. Just create a good storyline for the women. And they refused. They just threw her over into a tag team the entire year. And then when we speak up, instead of doing what Lio Rush and Baron Corbin and Xavier Woods all told us to do, which is just stop complaining and deal with it or don't watch. Instead of doing what those fucking dipshits told us to do, we instead took our voices to platforms like these and we raised the stakes. We did complain. We did bitch. We got overly negative because we knew change was needed. And it's because of that Sasha Banks is now headed to the Royal Rumble to take on Ronda Rousey after defeating Nia Jax last night, tapping her out and earning that spot with Rousey. BC, why you so excited, man? She's just gonna be fed to Nia. Oh, I'm sorry, fucking Ronda. She probably would have been fucking fed to Nia if this was 3 months ago. She's just gonna be fed to Ronda, BC. So what are you so fucking thrilled about? What am I thrilled about? I said from the beginning, if you listen to me from the beginning, this isn't even about championships right now. Absolutely. Sasha should have that strap and should have held it the entire fucking year. If only for one person that I would allow to be in front of her on that Raw roster, and that is Ronda. And it ended up being Ronda who came in and got the title. So I said, all right, that's the one motherfucker that because of her mainstream presence and because of how fast she caught on to this wrestling thing, you gotta give her that strap, man. You just have to. That's business 101. But I said from the beginning, Sasha Banks needs to be in epic storylines. There's no reason you can't have a separate big-time women's storyline going throughout the year for someone like Sasha, for someone the likes of her talent. And that's what we fucking finally got last night. Well, where the hell was that in 2018? I don't need her to go in the Royal Rumble and beat Ronda Rousey. What I need is her finally to start getting a feud and a storyline that we give a shit about. Finally get a big-time match at a big-time pay-per-view. And finally lead to an even bigger feud that we're going to be invested in. And I got all three things last night. I got the kickoff to a storyline we give a fuck about. I got a big-time match coming up at a big-time pay-per-view with Sasha and Ronda. Win or lose. And then from that, it's sitting right in their lap, this should set up the horsewomen feud for the future. Either at WrestleMania or guaranteed for SummerSlam. But this will kick that off. This is an easy out. If Sasha needs to lose this, we can have, right after TakeOver, have Shayna Baszler enter the picture and help out Rousey. She's gonna need help eventually. Everybody is out for Rousey. Becky Lynch is out for Rousey. Charlotte's out for Rousey. Now Sasha's going for the strap against Rousey. It's just Bayley at this point, and she's right there attached to the hip with Sasha, so you know Bayley's gonna be intertwined with Rousey as well. Rousey will probably take on Bayley next week on Raw. Rousey's gonna need somebody by her side. Not just Natty, who's also friends with Sasha and Bayley. She needs her clique, her horsewomen. It's sitting in their lap. So yes, Sasha might not get the strap at the Rumble, nor do I really think she should. Even though that would be fucking epic, and that would floor the Amplified Man, and there won't even be a Royal Rumble review show the next day, because I'll still be on the fucking floor, shocked, in awe of what just transpired. Happier than a pig in shit. That would thrill the Amplified Man if Sasha got that strap. But I am absolutely 1,000,000% okay with Ronda walking out of the Rumble with that strap. You guys have to see the bigger picture. For Sasha Banks and the year she just had in 2018. And if you're just going to throw her tag titles eventually in 2019 anyway, then give me a big-time Ronda match. Put her in a big-time match at a big-time pay-per-view. Give me Sasha storylines I give a shit about and matches I give a shit about. And that's what we're getting. Absolutely. She most likely will lose that match at Rumble somehow. I'm hoping it's with schmozzery, with Ronda Rousey's horsewomen entering frame, at least Shayna Baszler, to start that ball rolling. Absolutely. Sasha might end up, when it's all said and done later in the year, end up with Bayley for the tag team picture and winning the first ever tag titles. I'll be much more fine with it after the Royal Rumble than I was before the Rumble match, than I was before last night transpired. Because it just seemed for all this time they weren't even giving her the time of day. Now they actually acknowledged her. What Ronda Rousey, that promo that she cut last night, and she's talking about how she wants to give an opportunity to somebody who's deserving, somebody who is the true underdog the way she's been being booked, somebody who truly does deserve this match, who has the athleticism and the talent. And she actually said Sasha Banks' name, and I stopped what I was doing, man. I was zoned out at that point. At that point, I was just like, come on, man. Aside from Alexa Bliss starting her Moment of Bliss talk show off with a coffee, which I respect that, it started getting a little fucking boring. Ronda Rousey was just mumbling about some shit, to me anyway. And then she dropped Sasha Banks' name. And I was at the edge of my seat. I'm sorry, come again. What? What'd you just... Who? Did you just bring up Sasha Banks' name in a big storyline? Does Vince McMahon, is he feeling okay? Did he allow this? Did he check this off? Or are we getting real change here? And sure enough, Nia Jax comes out. And Nia Jax starts telling Ronda Rousey, you ain't got to worry about Sasha Banks. I want my rematch. I'm the one going to take the title from you. This is where we cue Sasha Banks' music. And this is where I'm really at the edge of my seat now thinking, are they really putting Sasha in the mix now, finally, after a whole fucking year, if you're a Sasha Banks fan, to be on the fucking floor thinking, what the fuck is this world coming to? The professional wrestling WWE bubble that someone like Sasha Banks is on the sidelines the entire fucking year. And now, the first Raw of 2019, and Sasha Banks is in the mix. What a difference a year makes. Such a tragic 2018 in the very first Raw of 2019. And Sasha Banks is in the face of Ronda Rousey and telling Rousey, it'll be my honor and pleasure to take that title from you and make you learn how to lose with dignity and grace. A zinger to Ronda Rousey. Nia gets in Sasha Banks' face, and Nia tells Sasha, did you forget that standing in front of you, you have a 300, and I think she said 0.5 ounce of wild Samoan in your face that could rip your face from your body, or I'm sorry, break your face is what she said to Sasha Banks. And she said, you need to get in line behind me. Go. And this is where I was blown away, because the camera panned right to Nia Jax, and all of a sudden I hear, bitch, what line? We cut over to Sasha, and you're damn right, those big old words came from little old Sasha Banks. Stella got her groove back. Sasha got her groove back. Bitch, what line? And the ferociousness in her face, man, that was a confidence I have never before seen in Sasha Banks. Not even her NXT legit boss days. That was what I wanted to see for so long. And she looks at Nia and she says, there's a ring right there. I'll challenge you right now. In that ring, winner gets Ronda. Not even gonna wait for you to say anything. Mic drop. Sasha hits the ring. I love the way Nia played it off. Nia goes like she's gonna be a badass and follow her, and she stops and she sits down next to Alexa. And then Nia's like, no, I didn't mean right now. I didn't mean now. She's like, I'm the bitch, but I'm not a bitch. I'm not going now. And I love the way Nia played that off. We're not too fond of Nia on this channel, but I do like the way she played that off. And Sasha hits the ring. I think we went to commercial, but when we came back, That match was official. Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, winner takes on Ronda Rousey. I'm thinking, this is sitting in your lap. Sasha, Ronda, Rumble, money. Something new. If you really want to tell us you're going to create change, again, I don't give a fuck at this point if Sasha walks out as champion. That's not the point. That's not the bigger picture. If you're telling me change, and then you give me at one of your top 4 pay-per-views of the year, the Royal Rumble, you give me a match like Rousey and Sasha, and let someone like the Amplified Man view that shit. Enjoy that shit. And if you're not going to give us change, then you're just going to have Nia somehow weasel out a win, and we're going to have another Nia Jax, Ronda Rousey rematch at the Rumble. That's the WWE way to go about things. So in the back of my mind, even though it's sitting in their lap, I'm thinking, Nia's going to find a way to win this fucking match, isn't she? They're going to give Nia this shit. And I was fucking blown away at that ending of that match. When Sasha Banks had the statement on Nia, you guys want my reaction? This is legit. This is what actually happened. When you watch for 3 decades, I'll be the first to admit, especially when the product is insufferable like it's been the past several years, and especially 2018, you can become a little jaded. But when that statement was on, this is a true story. I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm literally yelling out loud, "Tap, motherfucker! Tap! Tap!" And Nia starts tapping, and I shout out, "Yes! Yes, motherfucker!" Screamed it out. I guess you could say I was invested in that. I guess you could say that is change. That made the Amplified Man happy as fuck. That was the right thing to do. That is going to set up something we all actually give a fuck about and want to see. What a moment that fucking was. Sasha Banks taps out Nia Jax, center of the ring, and this time it is to go on to the Royal Rumble and take on Ronda Rousey. This whole, I don't care what it was, 15, 20, 25 minutes of the opening segment to this review show for Monday Night Raw, all about Sasha Banks' segment, you're damn fucking right, because if you don't know what the Amplified channel is all about, you're going to find out in 2019 if you haven't been with me from the beginning. But let me give you a big heads up. This is a huge pro Sasha Banks channel. We love Sasha on this channel. We are hard with her at times. Tough love, I call it, when the booking is shit and I feel that she's getting a little too complacent. But this is a pro Sasha channel. So you're damn right, we talk a lot of Sasha Banks on this channel, and that was a huge, epic moment for Banks heading into 2019 and what's in store. Again, save your BC, she's not going to win the title bullshit. That's not the point here. If you book her like she should be being booked and you give her the time of day and let her do her shit, I assure you, the championships are gonna roll. And when they do, they better be way more than a day or a week or a month long. Sasha's got the capability to hold that shit for months and years, if you ask me. Without anything being stale, because she's got the fucking actions to back it up. But when you go from 2018, man, and you know she's going to win tag straps eventually with Bayley, so she's going to be stuck in that, this is a welcoming sight, a welcoming feeling, a welcoming feud and match for the Rumble to have Sasha and Rousey. That's what I want to say in this opening part of the review. And I will admit, the match was sloppy as fuck. Was it BBC or was that kind of sloppy? No, it definitely was. It's Nia Jax, guys. What do you expect? There was times in there where Sasha was giving it her all the entire fucking match. And it just seemed like Nia didn't know how the fuck to sell what Sasha was trying to do. There was one time Sasha did an awesome, almost like into a Frankensteiner, was going to drive Nia's face into the mat on the outside. And Sasha is supposed to, fall out onto the mat on the outside. So Nia supposed to face hit the apron, and instead she kind of goes with Sasha Banks. Almost like she's about to go to the mat outside as well. Totally botched that, and it made it look fucking foolish. But Sasha did everything under the sun in her power to try to make that match, turn that match from shit to gold. She tried. Sasha Banks went out there, if you rewatch that match, and went out of her way to try to do anything possible to save that match. It seemed like Nia was just clueless as fuck. So yeah, the match was sloppy, but again, bigger picture, this wasn't really about just how the match came off. This was bigger picture. This was larger than fucking life formatting now. 2019 needs to be saved because we can't have another year 2018 in WWE. We can't. So shit like that, the end result, very rarely does this happen, but the end result eclipses the actual match. So I'll give them the sloppiness mulligan there. Because the result, when it was all said and done, is Sasha Banks is going to take on Rousey. And that is legit facts, man. That is so good to fucking see. Sasha Banks, where you belong on the big stage of a big pay-per-view. Hopefully this is just the beginning of what's to come. Big news, big things. Big matches and big feuds for Sasha Banks going forward in 2019. That's what we're hoping for. It's off to a pretty big bang. Was there other change on Raw? Did other things fucking captivate us or interest us? Absolutely. The Hulk Hogan segment where he's honoring Mean Gene Okerlund, for instance. Beautifully fucking done. It seems like creative got together and put together an awesome segment for Hogan. That's the way Gene Okerlund should have been given his tribute. That's the way he should have been honored. Hogan goes out to the ring. Right from the beginning, he gets emotional. We go to a highlight package of all of Gene Okerlund's, not even all, not even close, but some of Gene Okerlund's best moments, man. And they made you laugh. And they made you kind of shedded a tear a little bit. That package was who Mean Gene Okerlund was, man. The best. Simply the best. And even though he wasn't an actual pro wrestler, he was one of the most best larger-than-life characters we've ever had in this business. If the pro wrestlers today had half the charisma Gene Okerlund had, this company would not be where it is right now. In the toilets. And then we cut back from the highlight package, and Hogan is talking about how he knows Gene is up there with Randy Savage and Warrior. And he's calling the action with Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, and he's calling out all these names. And man, I'm like, this is perfect. This is the way this should be being done. Anybody who had a problem with Hogan coming back, man, put that aside for a minute, please, and enjoy the tribute and the honoring that Gene Okerlund was getting from somebody who probably was the best to be in that position, which was Hogan. And then he ends it with, should I do it, guys, one more time? And Orlando's like, fuck yeah, we know what he's going to do. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. And Hogan's music plays as he gives the honor to Gene Okerlund up on the Tron. And I don't see how that could have went off better. It didn't take the focus off of Gene Okerlund like some thought it was going to. This was perfectly done where Gene Okerlund was the sole highlight of the segment. Gene Okerlund was the centerpiece. He was the feature. Hulk Hogan was simply the vehicle, and it was a nice vehicle to, you get the fucking, when you have 2018 in the same redundancy, somebody like Hulk Hogan coming out, that's a vehicle you want to see coming down the road. Coming down the aisle, you got Hulk Hogan. I'm like, oh, all right, like, it's been a minute. And you know what it's for? It's to honor somebody we all cherished growing up. And they actually gave this promo the time of day. You know, the writers worked with Hogan word for word. And Hogan had his genuine emotion. And, you know, it was touching, man. Somebody who grew up, again, 3 decades watching this. If you grew up 3 decades watching WWE, then you know Gene Okerlund was the centerpiece of WWE for so many fucking years. So that was, man, you go with Sasha Banks and that whole moment. You know, that gives you the feels. And then you get the feels with Gene Okerlund. It was good, man. Was there any other good in this show? You damn well better bet there was. The opening segment, this is all I asked for. Get creative and get us intrigued and interested from the opening fucking seconds of your show. Don't give us your same old lame redundant signature at the beginning of the show. Your same old lame redundant music intro. And then we just cut to a lame-ass crowd that's half empty, and Michael Cole is just like, welcome everyone to Raw. Don't give me that. Give me something that's going to get the blood going. An awesome signature and opening music package. A fucking badass pyro blitz. Something. A guy waiting in the parking lot for his nemesis to show up. That's how you should be opening shows. How did they opening it last night? They had fucking Seth Rollins and Lashley beating the fuck out of each other backstage, leading into the arena, all over the staging area, backstage again. That's how it opened. With a melee, a brawl. And then John Cena enters the picture, and his music blasts, and he returns to Monday Night Raw. I'll take that opening. You should be opening your shows telling people, without your words, showing people, I should say, that this is the place to be, and that it can be spontaneous and shocking, and that anything can happen. We started off with a melee brawl, and before you know it, John Cena's making a return to Raw. I like it. And then the end of the show, we ended it with an actual main event. There's a concept. A main event we give a fuck about. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Intercontinental title is on the line in a no-holds-barred fucking Falls Count Anywhere match. These motherfuckers are fighting backstage. This brings up my point of having the hardcore title make a comeback. And that would help make Raw better. Because the hardcore title was defended 24/7 anywhere in the building. Anywhere. You could be backstage, you could be in the parking lot, you could be at a supermarket. It brings intrigue to the product. So what did they do last night's main event? They brought some fucking change. They said, let's take it out of the ring. And that main event was fought backstage. They were in the crowd. Beating the fuck out of each other all over the arena. Finally, it ends up inside the ring. I like that. Bobby Lashley ends up intervening. Takes out Seth Rollins. Dean Ambrose gets the pin. And that's how we fade to black. A lot of people upset because they don't like Bobby Lashley and they think that sucked. Well, you don't always get what you want. Pro wrestling in WWE is not always about getting what you want necessarily. It's just about getting good, entertaining television. Good, entertaining shows. Good, entertaining product. If you give us that, we don't complain. We don't bitch. We're not overly negative. Not entitled infants over here. We don't necessarily need to get what we want all the time. We just need it to be entertaining. We need to give a fuck. I have no problem with Lashley intervening and taking out Rollins. Rollins wasn't going to win the IC strap last night, nor should he. Ambrose just got it a month or two ago, if even. Maybe a month and a half. If even. I don't want hot potato. Lashley coming in told the story beautifully too. Because you had them brawling at the beginning of the show, and at the end of the show, Lashley got his revenge, and this will lead in to what they're hoping is going to be a big build to Rumble. Whether you like it or not, that's what they're going with. At least they got creative a bit and got it out of the ring and started to use their fucking hamster and their fucking wheel a little bit more. Get that hamster spinning up there in the dome piece. So anybody that tells you there was no change last night, there's only one word for them. That's delusional. They're off their rocker, and unfortunately, I don't know if there's hope for them. There absolutely was change. Was it the change that we were all fucking thinking was going to happen? Was there? Absolutely not. Was there more change we wish would have happened? 1,000,000%. I would have had fucking pyro. I would have had a new song, entrance song for fucking in signature at the top of the show. I would have had the old school Titantron back. Make it a little bit more back to the basics. A little less LED boards and shit. The feel would have been different. Dim the lights a little bit more. A little bit more house showy aspect and feel. But to say that there was nothing that was cool last night, or nothing that interested you, then we were watching two different shows. The top of the program was fucking the way to start off a show. The end of the fucking program with a badass main event and something that wrapped up the first segment, I'm totally cool with. That's what you call a main event. That's how it should look. And getting out of the ring and going backstage and brawling and all that, I love that. That's what we need more of. Hopefully we see more of it next week and the weeks to follow in parking lots, in the street, in a supermarket. It needs to feel different. Otherwise we get redundancy. So you have a badass opening, you have a badass main event. Sasha Banks comes out of nowhere and finally gets the spot she was fucking deserved for a whole fucking year and a half now. She hasn't been on a fucking pay-per-view in a main match since the middle of 2017. Think about that! What a moment of boss that was on the Moment of Bliss talk show. Hulk Hogan honoring Mean Gene Okerlund. I just named a bunch of stuff off the bat that was good to see. So to not give them their credit and say they didn't put on some good shit last night is bullshit, and that'd be delusional. Now that's the positive I'm gonna tell you. Now to the negative, because I had just admitted there was change, or at least even if they didn't mean to, there was some good shit. But was it enough change? Absolutely not. Was there still that same redundancy and nonsensical, confusing bullshit? Yes, there was. And I promised you guys in past videos before this review that Monday Night Raw had to do away with all redundancy and bullshit for this Raw because that's what they promised. They didn't say we were going to get some change. They said they were going to change fully. They didn't do that last night. So now is where I rip this motherfucker apart. You have Ember Moon tagging up with Apollo Crews to take on Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. How is that change? I ask you. How is that possibly you're just sticking Alicia with Jinder still when you know in 2018 you experimented enough with it and you knew, listen to me carefully, because I'm going to drop facts here. I know these videos get to Stamford, Connecticut. I learned that in good ways, and I learned that the hard way when I used to just have a few hundred people watch these videos. Now I have thousands, and I know these videos get to the people that it needs to get to. Again, I learned that the hard way sometimes. So I need the suits and ties for WWE to listen. You did the experiment in 2018 with things like Alicia and Jinder, and you saw that it doesn't get a reaction. So why in 2019 would you just send out the same shit? That is carelessness. That is a lack of work ethic. That's what it is. It's laziness. Or did you seriously wrap all of your creative juices into the Sasha Banks segment, into the Hulk Hogan segment, into the Rollins opening melee segment, into the main event segment, that you had no more creative juices left in you? If so, that's fucking sad. So Ember Moon, you talk about a tragic criminal year for Sasha Banks in WWE. How about Ember Moon? a talent like Ember Moon debuts right after WrestleMania last year, so April, in the entire year, this woman was a forgotten entity. Forgotten because I'm pretty sure if you're a casual fan, you didn't even know she's part of the main roster. You don't even know who Ember Moon even is. Nor should you. WWE did everything possible to kill her NXT legacy and make sure she was irrelevant in the main roster. 2019, you're hoping for something huge, something epic, and there she is with Apollo. Don't blink. This match was 1 minute long. Ember Moon wins the match and he clips on Alicia Fox. We've seen that 1,000 times. And Michael Cole is selling this like this is going to be an epic year for Ember Moon. Ember Moon! Wow! What a year it's gonna be! What a win over Alicia and Jinder. Are you fucking... Who are you fooling? An epic year. You just gave her another nonsensical match with a 1 minute time limit. You gave her 1 minute. How do you showcase your skills in 1 minute? How do you make people give a fuck about you in 1 minute? And you give her 1 minute, you throw her in a nonsensical tag match, you have her beat somebody she's already beaten in the past, and you say, wow, now that's Ember's momentum, and this is her year. Get the fuck out of here. Creativity means you are using your juices, your flow, every knowledgeable fucking inkling in your dome piece that you can come out with, that you can garner, that you can muster. You're using that for every individual. You can trash Vince Russo all you want, but Vince Russo wrote the whole show for Raw. Back then, I think it was only 2 hours, but that's still a lot of television to write and a lot of characters. Back then, even more if you think about it. When you think about the segments and how many superstars were involved in those segments. Vince Russo wrote something for everybody. He never left somebody out or off. Think about that. And you go into today's writing, Apollo still has nothing. Jinder still has nothing. Ember Moon still has nothing. You're not going to try to trick me with a 1 minute victory over someone she's already beaten before in a nonsensical tag match and say that was epic. If you're truly creative and that's your job title, I'm a creative writer, I'm a booker, I'm this, I'm that, then do your job. Do it correctly. You can have Sasha going for the strap against Ronda and still have secondary and even thirdary feuds and stories that we give a fuck about. There's no reason Ember Moon, there's no reason we shouldn't be caring about her. We started 2019 off for Ember Moon the same way we did in 2018. I didn't see any change there. How about Elias versus Baron Corbin? You want the truth? This is gonna sting. This is gonna fucking hurt. Elias has already gotten stale to me. I noticed that when they announced, ladies and gentlemen, Elias. And it instantly hit me, I'm sick of seeing this same old spiel. It leads to nothing but somebody coming out and interfering, a guitar shot, and Elias 50-50 booked. When you do that all the time, I was going to say so many times, when you do it all the time, it becomes stale and redundant. So that was at the beginning when he's giving his performance. I said, I'm done with Elias, man. I'm no longer walking with Elias because he's stale. But then at the end of the match, by the way, a redundant rematch, so how the fuck was that change? But at the end of the match, Elias eats an L in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. He looked like a tool, like a fucking jobber to Baron Corbin. Elias had the chance. He had a real shot at being a legit superstar in this business. You know those larger-than-life guys that I talk about? He had a chance. Not only when he first debuted with the main roster, but with that character even. I was walking with Elias for a long time, until last night. WWE went out of their way to ruin him in 2018, at the end of 2018, and then 2019 starts off the same fucking way. Oh no, wait, there was a little change, wasn't there? They made him even worse. than Elias 2018. Elias 2019 looks like it's starting off with a bang, even worse. I'm officially no longer walking with Elias because I have no reason to walk with a motherfucker. I don't walk with losers. It's at a point, honestly, where Elias has to sit Vince down, man to man, respectfully, and say, Vince, I'm worried about my character, man. I see no progression with my character. I only see a decline. It's worth a shot. Elias has too much fucking skill in him. Too much talent. And AEW opens up, man, and they can offer somewhat comparable wages or anywhere in the ballpark, man. You take the pay cut from WWE and you go where your services are much more warranted and wanted. Tragic. No change there. Only fucking something worse than I saw in 2018 between Baron and Elias. How about a fucking lumberjack tag team redundancy match? How about Gable and Rude, who, let's be honest, nobody gives a fuck about as a tag team. And they're taking on the Revival. The only more cricket situation I can think of, the only thing that could make a crowd even more fucking silenced than Gable and Rude together is the Revival. Because I'm going to sting you with another zinger here. The Revival. The silence that is echoing during a Revival match is astounding to me. They're literally in the arena, every arena they're ever performing in, there is not one person who's cheering for the Revival, or when the Revival match is over with, not one person stands up. I've said it from day one when they got to the main roster, the Revival will never get over because there's something tragic happening, and I'm going to tell you guys what it is. Nobody gives a fuck about them. They had a few good matches in NXT. Great. A lot of superstars did. You don't have the act on the main roster to attract casuals and mainstream fans. In fact, you even lost your diehard NXT fans. The Revival is a shell of what it once was, and what it once was wasn't even that epic. I know this is hard to take, guys, but it's the truth. And that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to be the nice guy to just give you guys what you want to hear. You don't believe me? That's fine. Do me a favor. Go back and do your own research. Watch every single Revival match on their main roster. On the main roster. And watch the crowd during the whole match and when the match is over. Whether they win or lose. Watch the crowd. There's no connection. That's something not even booking can help with. Just the truth. Dawson and Swanson, or who's the other fucking jamoke? I like to call them Dawson and Swanson. Dawson and fucking Wilder. Fucking Dash Wilder, right? Wild. Why can't I fucking say his... I don't even need to say his name. I'm never going to need to. He's never going to do anything in this tag team division. Dash and Dawson. We'll just keep it at that, right? Easier for me to say. No change there. Lumberjacks are going to help this thing. There was a moment I looked up and I saw the Ascension. I'm like, even with Lumberjacks, what the fuck are the Ascension even still doing employed with WWE? The Ascension has no... What the fuck are the Ascension doing taking up checks in the WWE? They're taking up roster spots from people in NXT that should have been there months ago. But because the Ascension is taking up spots, they can't be. There's wrestlers around the world that would run circles around the Ascension. Not just in the ring skill talent-wise, but on the mic. And charisma. And captivating us. But the Ascension I have to watch on TV? So that whole Lumberjack tag redundancy match was epic bullshit. And where's the change? I wish I could say I was done. By the way, that six-man tag that the opening melee turned into a six-man tag with John Cena, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor taking on Drew McIntyre, Dean Ambrose, and Who was it? McIntyre, Ambrose, somebody else? Who the fuck was it, man? That's gonna fucking bug me. I don't fucking know, guy. It was a 6-man tag match that I don't give a fuck about, to be honest with you. Maybe it was Lashley, right? Lashley, maybe. So whatever the fuck it was, guys, it didn't. Yeah, I think it was Lashley, because that makes sense. Guys, that shows you how bored I was during the match. I couldn't even tell you the 6th competitor. It was a half an hour match that I couldn't give two shits about, and I didn't. It was boring. Go back and watch it. The last 2 minutes, obviously it picked up, which it should, right? You're going into your final motions and movements. That's cool. Your final fucking move set. But the match in general, watch the crowd too, man. The live crowd was with the Amplified, man. They were bored out of their fucking skulls, man. We saw an awesome opening segment, opening melee, and it turned into something that should have been cool. You got some stars. I'm hesitant to call them superstars, but you have John Cena out there who was a superstar. Now I'm not sure what John Cena is to this businessman. It's weird. It's like, it's John Cena, but it's like, he's kind of not a big deal anymore. It's weird, man. 15, 16 years in the top spot. And this motherfucker right now, it's not like when Stone Cold left or The Rock left or Triple H fucking left for a minute and they would come back and you'd be like, wow, it's H. Wow, it's Stone Cold. Wow, it's The Rock. This was kind of like, it's John Cena. That goes to show you, man, that 50-50 crowd reaction that they get, it doesn't translate into something that's larger than life. So when Roman comes back, Vince better be careful with this, man. I would turn Roman full-fledged heel. At first, gauge the comeback, right? At first, you might get a big reaction, right? Because we're all welcoming him back. But if it turns into boos later on, turn him heel full throttle, and then when the time is right, you turn him back face, and then he'll be larger than life. John Cena doesn't feel that way to me, and I know he should, because he was the top dog for so many years. But he was also in a position where a lot of people felt he shouldn't be, and that's where Roman's headed down, and now we see, was there an ultimate payoff with Cena? Doesn't look it. Doesn't look like too many people are excited to see John Cena, and he was gone for a while. Not good, man. I did a little experiment there, and Roman Reigns is headed down that same avenue. 50-50 reaction is not good for this business, man. We need to fully be behind somebody like we were for Becky Lynch, or totally boo the fuck out of them because we want to see them get their ass kicked. Good guy, bad guy. Simplistics in pro wrestling go a long way. Don't change the simplistic basic formula. And Finn Balor, still no demon. Right? Start off 2019 with a new Finn Balor. No, it's just pop collar smiley Finn. And you got Seth Rollins, obviously, who's been 50-50 booked throughout 2018 as well. And on the other side, you got McIntyre, Lashley, and Dean Ambrose. It should have felt more epic. It just didn't. And for good reason. The match was kind of bland. It was lackluster. I'm being generous. But the segment that really just boggles my mind was Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. I told you guys Braun Strowman was ruined. Most people believe me, I should say. But there were some people that were like, no, BC, he'll get back to what he was. Just watch. Vince will know what to do. That's Braun. Do you honestly give a fuck about Braun? Let me ask you seriously. Do you give a fuck about Braun Strowman? They did everything in their power to ruin this guy. They threw him at WrestleMania one year with a 10-year-old kid to win the tag titles. That's a true story. I can't make that up. A 10-year-old kid tag team with Braun to win tag titles at a time where Braun was headed to be one of the biggest stars in the company, and they ruined him. And then somehow, this never happens, lightning struck twice, and Braun actually got momentum back. And he was starting to be another big-time character and personality, and for the second time, they wiped the fucking rug from underneath him, and they ruined him by turning him heel for Roman Reigns. And now they're asking us for a third time because of what happened with Roman and them forcing to look in the mirror and realize that the product sucks and Braun might be one of the only larger-than-life superstars that we can create. They tried a third time to raise the stakes with Strowman. The only difference is this time, we were not buying what they're selling. We told them they can keep their bullshit. And for good reason. It's a good thing we did that from the beginning this time around, because look what happened last night. Braun Strowman looked like he didn't even know what the fuck to say next. It looked like he was losing his words. Not as bad as Roman Reigns in that segment with John Cena that they did. Remember that promo where Roman Reigns forgot what the fuck he was going to say. But Braun Strowman did not look comfortable in that promo. And to make matters worse, Creative dropped the ball like they always did in 2018 and most of this show. They had nothing planned. They had Brock Lesnar in the building. This is one of only what seems 3 dates that Brock Lesnar will do in a year. 3 fucking dates. That's what it seems anyway. Obviously, I'm being a little bit fucking... off the fucking wall with that, and exaggerating a little bit, but it seems like the guy only shows up 3 times a year, and you have him in the building. And all you had planned was for him to go to the ring, walk around the ringside 2 times, and walk up the rampway to go home. That's what he showed up to Orlando, Florida to do. I'm thinking there's no way. This is the new year, this is new change, this is for the better. Brock is going to jump Ron in the parking lot. They got something planned, man. And even if they do, that segment was a train wreck. That was horrible. That was one of the worst segments I can remember in recent history. And the product has been garbage for years now. But I said the only thing that can save it is something that's probably going to happen. I'm hoping. And that's Brock will end up getting Braun backstage. Guys, that never happened. That never happened. I can't even make this shit up. The only thing they had planned for Brock was to walk around ringside twice and go home. Braun was struggling with the promo from the beginning. He has Brock right there. We all know Braun can run like a cheetah, faster than a cheetah. There was no reason Braun didn't jump out of the ring and chase Brock. Braun stayed inside the ring like he wanted no piece of Brock. Brock's walking around like he wants no piece of Braun. He goes up. We fade to black to a commercial break. I want to flip out so much here and get so over the top amplified, but I gave you guys so much in that Lio Rush video I put out yesterday. I went ballistic on that young kid, Lio Rush, calling out fans for complaining too much, and if we don't like it, don't watch, Lio Rush said. So I made a whole fucking 17-minute video about blasting this motherfucker, so I don't want to go ballistic again right now. I just don't want to. I want to say this honestly, and I'm going to do this in a lower tone so the suits and ties at Stamford, Connecticut can hear what I'm about to say in a nice relaxed tone, really get what I'm saying. That was the best you had for Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar 2 weeks before the Royal Rumble. Think about what you just did. Honestly ask yourself, was that the best, or was that even any good that we can do? Is that something that I would be proud of? Putting my name at the end of that sheet of paper, signing off on that. One of your big matches, not even just a big match, a Universal Championship match. Brock and Braun. And that's what you had on an episode of Raw that you promoted was going to be fucking huge. It's going to be full of change. It's going to start captivating us again. And that's what you gave us. That was repulsive. That was tragic and criminal to the highest fucking degree. That made me not want to see Brock and Braun at Rumble. Think about what I just said. That you managed to find a way. You somehow managed to find a way to make me not want to see a match. And this is a Universal Championship match at Rumble. You found a way to make me not even want to see it. And what you're supposed to be doing is making us want to see it even more. You made us not even want to see this garbage. I can't tell you. That bad taste is still left in my mouth right now. I can't tell you. There's no correcting that, guys. There's nothing they can do next week or the go-home show the following week to Royal Rumble. Nothing they can do for Braun and Brock is going to save that. Nothing. Nothing. Unless they brawled on the go-home show, went out into the parking lot, went down the street, went into the local food market, and brawled down the aisles. That might be the only thing that can save it. Other than that, nothing. It's tarnished. It's ruined. I will be that dramatic about it because it was that fucking dramatically bad, horrible, and tragic. Downright, to the highest degree, criminal. Change my ass. When this whole show was done, it had ebbs and flows and highs and lows to the which I haven't seen in a long time. All of 2018, I haven't seen a show like that. It was kind of all over the place. I saw little nuggets where you could see creative in WWE was at least trying. You could see it clear as day. Were they hitting home runs? Absolutely not. But you could see where they were trying. You could see some shit that landed and was damn right cool. Hogan and Sasha Banks. The melee at the beginning of the show. And what I mean by trying is that main event. Having it be Falls Count Anywhere and fighting backstage and in the crowd. And then you see where they didn't try at all. And they weren't creative at all. And they were just redundant. Corbin and Elias. Lumberjack tag match. And then you see shit that probably on paper looked cool, but didn't land. Like the 6-man tag match at the beginning of the show. So it was kind of all over the place. Did I see good shit? Absolutely. So can't trash the thing in full. Because the good was really good for the Amplified Man. But I still see a lot of the fucking redundant bullshit. And just like I said I was going to do, I had no choice but to call you out on it again in this video. But you get an extra whole week because you did give us some really good shit for the Amplified Man anyway, man. Shit that I really loved to see last night. Because we did get that. You get an extra 7 days to dust yourself off with the redundant bullshit. Next week, you have to up your game even more than what you did last night. I want you to go in there and give us, here's a wild concept, but you can do it, Vince. You can do it, guys. I want you giving us zero redundancy. Can you do it? You okay? You need to sit down? Are you about to faint? Somebody give some water to these motherfuckers. These motherfuckers. Give the Amplified Man some water. I think I just choked myself up with the fucking what I just spewed over to WWE's Suits and Ties. I choked myself up. Is this gonna happen? Can WWE truly do this? This homework assignment? Can they put on a whole show without giving us one rematch? Without shit seeming stale? Who the fuck knows, man? We'll find out next week. But I'm not doing it, man. I'm not doing it anymore. These rematches have to stop. If you just got rid of those last night, that show last night would be a lot better than what we're talking about this morning. Really would. But because you had a lot of the bullshit still, a lot of the redundancy, don't be surprised if the wrestling community is still trashing this shit. Even with the good that did happen last night. I'm giving you a 7-day extension, WWE. I know these videos hit home to you. I know they hit Stamford, Connecticut. You got a 7-day extension. And I'm sure the wrestling community at large will hold you accountable if you give us the same redundant bullshit. I'm shutting up there, man. 7-day extension. Tomorrow we'll do the SmackDown review, guys, and reaction. And then we'll get set for probably be an impromptu video later in the week as well. But then we have a huge podcast coming this Sunday, guys. Another near 2 hours. If you guys missed the first podcast I put out this past Sunday, check it out, man. We cover everything from AEW to Tony Storm to my words in my tribute to Gene Okerlund and so much more. That was Monday Night Raw, guys. I'm going to double fist some Starbucks. Kick 2019's ass. Continue to do such. I've been doing it since minute 1 of 2019. I don't know what you guys are waiting for. Jump on the Amplified Man's back. And we're going to rock this shit out. Sasha Banks, baby. Once again, the legit boss. As I tweeted out last night, a lot less hugging and a lot more of what we saw last night. Bitch, what line? I'm out.